Hey church family, Pastor Drew here. I just wanted to take a brief moment just to touch base with you guys this week. Really just to give sort of a newsletter kind of type announcement to let you know about some things that are going on behind the scenes. And I'm going to end kind of giving us just a very quick word from God's word to us. First of all, I want to say thank you to all of you who have forwarded a Ken Brady article. I think I've gotten this article from no less than 10 or 11 of you guys. Tonight, in our elders meeting at 6 o'clock, we actually intend to work through the article. I've put a link to that article here in this video description. What Ken does is he just really provides a framework for how churches should think through coming back to church. And he gives 24 questions, give or take, that we should wrestle with. And so I want to let you know what we're wrestling with as elders. I want to share that article with you so that you can be praying for us, but also know this is how we're thinking and maybe even some of the reasons why we're thinking this way. Probably has been one of the most helpful articles that I've read over the past few weeks on what does a return ultimately look like and how should churches be thinking through that process. I also want you to know that though we've not been able to meet physically, we have been working behind the scenes, continuing to do the ministry that God has called us to. Community Ministries is still meeting with people in our community. We are serving families. We are still ministering, reaching, sharing the gospel with folks. And so we want you to know that though we can't meet physically together, God is still doing some things. We have, I think at last count, was about 3 or 4 individuals that are in the bullpen, so to speak, of baptism. So as soon as we get back, we hope to baptize them. But we also, this is maybe more incredible, that even in the midst of this pandemic, we have been in the process of still trying to assimilate new members into our church virtually. And we've done that a little bit differently than we've done in the past. But as soon as we get back, I am thrilled to death to announce that close to 28 individuals wish to unite with us in membership. And so that's crazy to think about, that even in the midst of a pandemic, God is still calling people to our church to unite with us in membership, to join and to be a part of this fellowship and all that God is doing. Just really an incredible testimony of the Lord's goodness to Travis. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to be introducing to you guys, virtually of course, we have, the elders have been working behind the scenes. We are pleased that next week we'll be announcing we have hired a new student minister. He is going to start on Monday, May the 11th, I believe. And so we'll figure out how to do all that virtually, introduce him to our kids, have some Q&A time. We'll put together some videos and stuff for you to get to know him better. We've also hired a new women's minister to come on, and she will start May the 18th. And so we'll be sharing more about her as well and what she's currently doing and how God has led her in this process of serving our church. 2 incredible people are going to be coming to be a part of our church that you are going to fall in love with and you're going to be thrilled to death with. So we're continuing to grow. We are continuing to seek the Lord's best. We are still searching for God's man to lead our discipleship ministry. And so keep praying for us as the Lord would lead us to God's man, whoever that is, whenever that is, as well. I want to encourage you also, I've been saying for 3 or 4 months prior to this, circles more than rows, circles more than rows, circles more than rows. We had no idea this pandemic was coming. And in the midst of not being able to gather together corporately, God has reaffirmed the necessity of being connected in a small group. And I want to encourage you to continue to participate in your small group leader's Zoom sessions as he or she seeks to faithfully teach God's Word. We've been participating in ours. I know it's a little unconventional and it's a little bit different, but I'm also hearing testimonies from some of our teachers and directors that because of this pandemic, God has allowed, in His graciousness through His Spirit, just created a deeper sense of vulnerability in some of these groups that have been gathering for years. And they are one another in the gospel and creating community at a deeper level virtually because of the circumstance, that I know that when we get back together face to face, that the Lord is going to use that momentum to continue to grow those individuals and those classes. And so God is still working. God is still doing things in our church. And I want to encourage you to keep checking in and to keep participating in your small groups. I know Zoom is weird. For me personally, it has just reaffirmed the fact that meeting face-to-face is never a substitution. There's never a substitution for meeting face-to-face virtually. It's just not the same. And it has created in me as a pastor just a deeper longing to be with my faith family face-to-face, to pray with you, to sing with you, and to listen to God's Word together as well. And so keep connecting, keep sharing. God is still doing things in our church. He's still doing things in our midst. And I want to encourage you to keep your eyes on the Lord. Several days ago, I shared this verse on social media, and I want to share it with you now. And it's out of the book of Isaiah. God's people are in captivity in Isaiah 42. Different circumstance than us, certainly a different people that it was intended to, authorally, and what the text meant. But I think the principle is still there to apply to us in the midst of this pandemic. And hear what God says to us in Isaiah 43:2. He says, when you pass through the waters, I'm going to be with you. And through the rivers, they're not going to overwhelm you. When you walk through fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. I believe that the principles there in that text apply exactly to what we're doing. When you pass through the pandemic, God is saying, I will be with you. In fact, He's saying, I've been with you the entire time. When you go through the rivers of the grocery store, and you surround yourself with people that you're trying to socially distance from, He says, they shall not overwhelm you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. Friend, that's not a promise that we won't necessarily get sick or be harmed by this. It's just simply a reminder to God's people that God is going to be with us in the midst of that affliction. He is with us in the midst of this pandemic. And I want to encourage you to keep loving each other, but I want to encourage you more importantly to keep your eyes on Jesus, who the writer of Hebrews says is the author and the perfecter of our faith. Let Him perfect you during this time. I love you, and I cannot wait to see you again. God bless.